This is Backstage Bay Area. Now, here's your host, Steve Roby.
My guest today is a pianist, composer, and educator who has been a key figure in the San Francisco jazz scene since 2002. You might know him as a sought-after sideman for artists like Paula West, Stefon Harris, and Miguel Zenón, or for his impressive collection of original albums. But for many jazz fans, the holiday season truly starts when they hear him pay tribute to local legend Vince Guaraldi. On Sunday, December 21st, he brings his trio to SF Jazz's minor auditorium for a special event. Adam Shulman Trio plays a Charlie Brown Christmas. Please welcome Adam Shulman. Hey, Adam, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Steve.
You've been performing this tribute to Vince Guaraldi's Charlie Brown Christmas for over a decade, and it has become a true family tradition here. Guaraldi was a San Francisco native, just like you. What do you think this particular music, a soundtrack from a cartoon from 1965, oh my gosh, still connects so deeply with people, especially with jazz musicians?
Yeah, I think that, it's interesting seeing the audience. There's so many generations of people that come. And I think, there's definitely the people that sort of were raised on that Christmas special.
Mm-hmm.
There's kind of the first generation of people that saw it when it came out. And then, it's been on TV, I think, for, syndicated on TV for years and years. But yeah, I think it's interesting that, because it's kind of unique in that a lot of times something will be sort of a touchstone for a certain generation, and then it just kind of stays with that generation. But Charlie Brown Christmas and the music, I mean, I see little kids, dancing around their seats and stuff. So it definitely transcends generations and it's pretty timeless, I think. I think it's really touches people of all ages, and everyone can kind of understand emotionally what's going on in that special. I think that was sort of the genius of Charles Schultz, that he brought this adult sophistication, but also this childlike sense of the world and of wonder and joy. And
absolutely,
yeah,
especially those first few notes on the piano by Vince Guaraldi. You know what the song is,
Yeah. And the music, they weren't trying to dumb anything down or appeal. They went for jazz, right away. Yeah. They thought, the audience can hang with this. We don't have to, come up with something that'll
right. And it works. The animation works too with the characters dancing. So
absolutely
perfect. Yeah. For those discovering your work through this holiday show for the first time, it's important to understand that your musical identity extends far beyond simply covering classics. You studied classical piano at UC Santa Cruz before being mentored in jazz by the legendary Smith Dobson. How does that classical background influence your approach to improvisation today?
Well, a lot of my classical training, I think, really helped with just how I approach playing the piano. A lot of technique stuff. I learned a lot of good habits, some of which I have broken. But yeah, I think just having that classical background really helped me in terms of just playing the instrument. And in terms of improvisation, I mean, I've always loved classical music. I think, a lot of people who study classical music you're meant to execute the music, and you're not meant to really, there's interpretation, but it's sort of all based on performance practice and stuff. But I think, so some of my education was in, composition and stuff, and also like learning the theory, classical theory, which also helped a lot with jazz theory, and just getting under the hood of the music and getting a composer's viewpoint. And that really helps with improvisation, because I feel like that improvisation is basically you're just composing, but on the spot,
Yeah.
So the classical thing definitely, with just kind of getting under the hood of the music, figuring out, my all the classes that I took on theory really helped.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself drawing from that discipline even when you're on stage swinging?
I think all music needs to feel good.
Yeah, of
Whether it be
course.
swing or classical or, really, I think, Duke Ellington was right. The definitions between types of music are sort of arbitrary. And, there's good music, there's bad music. That's pretty much it.
All right. I've asked you to bring a few tracks to the show from your own catalog to showcase your unique voice to our listeners. Let's start with the track, The Little Ones. You mentioned studying with Smith Dobson, who was a master of the bebop language. When you're writing a piece like The Little Ones, do you start with a melody line or does the harmonic structure come first?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question for composing. Usually for me, the harmony, I'm always attracted to harmony first. This was from my first album, I think 2008 or so.
Okay.
So it was a really long time ago. I don't really remember. But usually for me, it's the harmony that comes first. But sometimes it's good as a composer to give yourself challenges to say, okay, well, I'm going to write a melody first, and then, or I'm gonna start with a rhythm first, and then build something around that. But I think for this one in particular, I came up with the chords first, and then wrote a melody over
All
it.
right. Well, let's set the Wayback Machine to 2008 and hear that track now. You're listening to Backstage Bay Area. That was The Little Ones from Adam Shulman's first album, On Second Thought. Adam is my guest today. Adam, you've worked with an incredible variety of artists from the Glenn Miller Orchestra to contemporary musicians. Does being a chameleon as a sideman make it easier or harder to define your own sound when you record as a band leader?
That's a really interesting question. I don't think it makes it hard. I mean, there are different skills involved. I think that is a strength of mine, I would say, in terms of kind of reading what is required of the music, being in different people's bands and adapting to that. I think that's most of what I do these days is playing in other people's projects. Sometimes it's hard to remind myself that I should also have a vision of my own. I mean, I have written a bunch of music and performed it, and have albums under my name. But I think the economics of being a jazz musician, most of my bread and butter comes from doing gigs that aren't really my own music. They're kind of few and far between the gigs where it's kind of my concept of what I want to say. I mean, I get that room playing with people. I can still be myself.
Yeah.
And of course, being in a jazz context, everyone wants that. They don't want you to be, an automaton,
Right.
But that's a kind of a complex, interesting question.
Yeah.
I guess.
That's what I'm here for. Anyway, let's move on to your second choice of music. It has a captivating title that references two giants of jazz. Tell us about the next track, Mingus Dreams of Billy Strayhorn. What a fantastic title. I love that title.
This was part of a project where I was exploring some of the music of the West Coast in kind of the 40s and 50s. There's a really vibrant scene in Los Angeles. Mingus, before he moved to New York, grew up there. I had the great fortune of playing with this singer, Ed Reed, who passed away a couple of years ago. But, he started his career singing when he was, I think, 79. But anyway, he grew up in that scene and knew Mingus. And so I was playing a lot with him, kind of getting to know, he would tell me stories. I was reading books about that scene. Anyway, so I was sort of imagining Mingus, whose biggest hero was Duke Ellington, musical hero was Duke Ellington, and by extension probably Billy Strayhorn. So
Yeah.
I was sort of imagining him writing a song in that style, which he's done, but this was sort of an imagining of my own of something else that he might write. In that style.
I love it. Let's hear it now. This is Mingus Dreams of Billy Strayhorn by Adam Shulman, and you're tuned to Backstage Bay Area. That was Mingus Dreams of Billy Strayhorn from Adam's album West Meets East. Adam Shulman is my guest today on Backstage Bay Area. Adam, I love the layers in that title. It hints at a conversation between Charles Mingus's fiery intensity and Billy Strayhorn's refinement. Is that kind of interaction what we can expect at the upcoming Minor Auditorium show?
The cool thing about this show, what I have continued to enjoy about it is that, we play the music from that album, from the Charlie Brown Christmas album, but we never really know what's going to happen in terms of the improvisation. I try to just bring different things, some fieriness, some sophistication, but I'm always trying to throw little monkey wrenches in there just to keep things fresh and alive. And I think that's true for everyone that's going to be on stage. You know?
Right.
And that, in the true spirit of jazz, just trying to keep it alive and not make it a museum piece.
Right. Exactly. So, are you saying that you'll be playing other material that's maybe Christmas oriented, but beyond the Vince Guaraldi soundtrack?
No. So all the songs we're going to be playing are either from that original album or there's another album that Vince Guaraldi wrote for a documentary about Peanuts.
Really?
It's called A Boy Named Charlie Brown. And because the entire Charlie Brown Christmas album is only a half an hour long.
Right.
So we needed a little more material in there, and so I culled some of the stuff from that other album. And actually, the Linus and Lucy piece was written not for Charlie Brown Christmas; it was written for that earlier documentary. So
I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah. So we're gonna all the material, all the songs are Vince Guaraldi's stuff, but within that context, we'll. In our improvisations and in the arrangements, I arrange them a little bit differently than what's on the out. Some of them are kind of verbatim, like Linus and Lucy is pretty verbatim.
Yeah.
But some of the other ones, I've made extended sections. I've put in rhythmic hits, things to sort of make it our own.
Right. Yeah. Well, tell me about the musicians joining you on stage.
It's been the same band from the very beginning, which has been great. It's John Watala is on bass, and he is just a giant in my mind of Bay Area jazz. I remember going to see him at Jazz at Pearls when I was in high school. He was there with Vince Latiano. He's just been on the scene forever. He knows the music inside out. He's been like a huge mentor to me. So I'm really lucky to have him, and he's been on pretty much most of my albums too as a bass player. And then James Gallagher is playing drums, and James is he's really, really steeped in the tradition of bebop drums and he studied the music really deeply. And he's kind of got I would say, a cross between Philly Joe Jones and Art Blakey kind of sound.
All right.
But he's kind of perfect for that era because that's the era.
Exactly.
of
Mid-60s,
Guaraldi.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So we get that authentic sound. Which
All
is
right. And this is a matinee show, which is perfect to bring the whole family out.
Yeah, it's really nice. I love seeing all the kids. It seems like everyone has a great time. And music, I don't know, like sometimes I see a sea of kids out there. I'm like, uh-oh, they're not going to behave themselves, but they always do. You know, they're always really captivated by the music, and the talking, not so much. When I start talking, they sort of lose interest. But
I think it's a good age for kids to come out and see live shows like yours. That influenced me when my parents brought me out to musicals in downtown San Francisco, and later on to more sophisticated shows. But it was just a great exposure to bring the whole family out, especially for this Christmas show.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, Charlie Brown, Christmas was sort of a gateway to jazz for them.
Good point.
Which
Good
I
point.
think is really cool.
Yeah. Well, let me remind our listeners, you can catch the Adam Shulman Trio on Sunday, December 21st at SF Jazz's Minor Auditorium, and they've got it decorated up with lights inside the auditorium, so it really has that Christmas feel now. They'll be performing Adam Shulman Trio plays a Charlie Brown Christmas, bringing the classic Vince Guaraldi soundtrack to life. The show starts at 1 p.m. It's a matinee show. You can get tickets and more information right now at sfjazz.org. Adam, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to hear your music, and we're really looking forward to the show.
Oh, well, thanks so much, Steve. Thanks for having me.
All right. And thanks to our listeners for listening. Backstage Bay Area will be right back.
Hey, musicians, would you like to be a guest on Backstage Bay Area? Just email the host and let him know when you'll be playing in the Bay Area. The address is backstage.sfbay@gmail.com.
This has been Backstage Bay Area, your all-access pass to the local jazz scene. I'm Steve Roby. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the show.